In the headlines, Niger State drags federal government to Supreme Court as Governor Matawale orders arrest of those rejecting old Naira notes. Oyetola, APC, file cross appeal on Governor Ademola Adeleke's eligibility. Gunmen attack Governor Okowa's security aides in Anambra, kills 3. And on the foreign scene, Somaliland agrees to cease fire after 5 days of fighting in disputed territory. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. We begin with currency redesign, where the Niger State government on Saturday revealed that it had filed a lawsuit against the federal government over the Naira redesign policy of the Central Bank of Nigeria at the Supreme Court. This was disclosed in a statement by the state's Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Justice Nasarat Malam in Mina. According to Malam, the case was filed on Friday with the Niger State government as a plaintiff. The statement said that the Niger State government was seeking an extension of the time frame given by the CBN for the currency swap and withdrawal from circulation of the old 200, 500 and 1,000 Naira notes, among other reliefs. It added that the 3 months given by the federal government for the withdrawal of old currency nationwide was not reasonable and was in violation of sections 13, 14 subsection 2b, 17 subsection 1c of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Governor Bello Matawale of Zamfara State has ordered the arrest of anyone who refuses to accept the old currency notes of 200, 500 and 1,000 Naira notes in the state. He said the old currency notes remain legal tender until the final verdict of the case instituted against the CBN and federal government by 3 northern governors of Kaduna, Kogi, Zamfara states at the Supreme Court is resolved. Matawale, who stated this in an event in Gusau, explained that he and his counterparts of Kogi and Kaduna states approached the Supreme Court to order the extension and validity of the old 200, 500 and 1,000 Naira notes. Matawale also commended the Supreme Court for doing the needful, which he said will alleviate the suffering of the masses. Nigerians have had a hard time getting the new notes amid scarcity and rising tension across the country, forcing the Apex Bank to extend the deadline by 10 days. Central Bank Director of Consumer Protection, Rashidat Monguno, says the pain and trouble being experienced by Nigerians across the country to get new Naira notes is caused by hoarding. The director said this in Offa, Kwara State, while inspecting and monitoring circulation of new notes in microfinance banks in the area. The director warns that the difficulty being experienced getting the money could linger till December if people continue to hoard the new notes. At the palace of Olofa of Offa, the CBN asks the traditional ruler to enlighten his subjects to embrace the new Naira notes. The Olofa, however, explained the pains people go through since the announcement of the extension of the deadline.
What we expect is that Naira that we have issued out will come back into the banking system again. But now, everybody that is collecting the Naira is hoarding it. So no matter how much Naira we put out there, if we continue with this attitude, if we are issuing every day up till December, it will not be enough. So in order to again accelerate the rate of circulation, responding to the complaints of people that they were still not satisfied, we also now onboarded the microfinance banks. Since they are closer again to the rural areas, our focus is to ensure that all the people in the rural areas are properly served. But the situation is going to get better by the time the deadline passes. And we know that we don't have any money to spend on these new Naira notes and our 100 Naira, 50 Naira, and 20 Naira that we have had. Everybody must bring out the money. So we just want Your Royal Highness to help us tell the people that they do not have any problem They should have confidence in the government of Nigeria.
I think it is better for the central bank if this policy must take place right now. They must derive a way to make the naira sufficient first. Then before they now said they give us a time that they will have to shut down all the old notes.
Accord presidential candidate Professor Christopher Imumolen has called on the federal government to declare a state of emergency in the petroleum and economic sector as naira notes and fuel scarcity continues to subject many Nigerians to hardship. Professor Imumolen, who made the call during a media briefing at his party's national secretariat in Abuja, also said the current predicament of Nigerians forms part of a calculated attempt by some people to scuttle the 2023 election. He then charged the government to investigate the situation, which he says is causing unrest in several parts of the country.
We know that what is currently happening in Nigeria is a calculated attempt by some group of people to ensure that Nigeria do not have a democratically elected president. Nigerians are tired, Nigerians are suffering. You have money in the bank, yet you cannot access your money. Mobile apps are not working, Nigerians are frustrated. You don't have money to survive your family, you don't have money to move from one place to another. Jobs are closing up because of lack of funds. It has never happened in the history of this country as this. We call on the federal government to stand up and ensure that this situation is looked into. The situation has now fueled unrest in various parts of Nigeria, and I believe it is important an emergency is immediately called on, economic emergency, to salvage the situation.
Moving to politics, candidates of All Progressives Congress in the July 16, 2022 governorship election in Osun State, Adegboyega Oyetola and his party, the APC, have filed a cross-appeal on the eligibility of Governor Ademola Adeleke to contest in the election. Adeleke, who was the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, was declared winner of the election by the Independent National Electoral Commission, but the Election Petition Tribunal, in a split judgment, upturned Adeleke's victory on the grounds of overvoting. The tribunal declared Oyetola as validly elected governor of the state in the election after deducting the disputed votes, but the tribunal cleared Adeleke on the issue of his eligibility to contest in the election. INEC, PDP and Adeleke have filed their separate appeals at the appeal court in Akure against the judgment of the Election Petition Tribunal on the matter. Oyetola and APC, in their cross-appeal at the appeal court, Akure, insisted that Adeleke was not qualified to stand election, insisting that the governor presented forged certificates to INEC. The senator representing Taraba South, Emmanuel Bocha, has been declared winner of the Taraba State All Progressives Congress governorship rerun primary election. Chairman of the Electoral Committee, Tukur Buratai, while announcing the result of the primary, which held in Jalingo, said that Senator Bocha scored 778 votes to defeat his close challenger, Senator Yusuf, who polled 5 votes out of the 796 total votes cast in the exercise. A total of 840 delegates turned up for the exercise, but only 726 were accredited. Other aspirants who contested in the election, David Sabo Kente, Anthony Manzo, Enladi Kifasi, and Saleh Mamma, got 0 votes. While commending General Buratai, the APC and the Independent National Electoral Commission for the credible exercise, Emmanuel Bocha thanked the delegates for supporting him and promised to ensure dividends of democracy for the people if elected next governor. Still in politics, a former Enugu State Governor, Chimaroke Namani, has faulted his expulsion from the People's Democratic Party, describing it as null. The PDP National Working Committee on Friday expelled him and others from the party, citing anti-party activities. But hours after the move, the former governor said the NWC lacks the powers to take such a decision. He quoted Articles 57, subsection 7 and 59, subsection 3 of the PDP constitution to fault his expulsion from the party. Nnamani said the decision of the party's National Working Committee was both a nullity and an illegality. Ahead of the general elections, observers are worried that information is being weaponized on an unprecedented scale, especially among young people, in a bid to disrupt the peaceful conduct of the voting process. In order to combat voter misinformation, disinformation, and improve inclusive voter and civic education, stakeholders are advising the youth to ensure only verified information regarding the elections are circulated. The report.
Credibility of the electoral process can be ensured through addressing the menace of fake news among the young population. The challenge is to censor the use of new technologies without jeopardizing the benefits of digital media in the search of a free and democratic system.
To be able to query the source of information they are getting on their smartphones and on television and radio will really go a long way in bringing integrity to the 2023 general elections in the country. Because this is the very first time that young people are very much interested in participating, unlike previous elections. And we want to ensure that their participation is meaningful, to ensure that they begin now to build the future that they want to see.
Generally, you know that young people, with all due respect, are used to being mobilized for the wrong reasons, either for political violence or for data boys. If you check those who peddle misinformation online, they are generally young people. So by this empowerment, they can then speak to their peers that we can actually burn this country with fake news. We can burn this country if our intention is wrong. They need to build Nigeria, because Nigeria is ours. And build Nigeria is through elections, and because you vote rightly.
These young people agree it is necessary to combat the spread of fake news if the electoral process is to be free, fair, and credible.
With this information, and I believe that other people will be doing the same thing, like stepping down the training, it's going to help really reduce the amount of false fake news that goes around, and also help curb issues that can arise, because when there's fake news, there's a possibility that it can cause conflicts, it can cause violence. But when more people are informed, less violence activities will take place, because people would actually be looking out for passing the right information.
You see, there are some information that are passed out to change the perception of people towards a particular candidate. So this kind of information, when we counter them, people will know, okay, that information that we saw was untrue.
The use of fake news, half-truths, and non-rational arguments to manipulate public opinion in pursuit of political objectives is a danger to peaceful elections and democracy. It is a growing threat that must be curbed. Aisha Salihu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
You're watching Trust News Update. Coming up after the break, we'll take a look at Presidential Fertilizer Initiative. Do stay.
I remember this incident about you preach where Obasanjo was there, I believe it's 2005, where it became as if you are opposed to the third term.
Yes, that term, yes. Yeah, but I put it nicely now, and I told Obasanjo doesn't want a third term. You people are pushing him and talking nonsense.
you don't think putting it nicely will make it will make him happy?
Yes, yes.
But don't you think people see you as deliberately being a radical priest? I mean, because there is this tradition in the Catholic Church where you oppose power, you oppose corruption. Is it not a choice of making?
No, it's not radical, but it is opposing what is bad now. We cannot settle for what is bad. We cannot settle for what is bad. And you don't have to be radical to say no to what is bad. So whenever we have a government policy which we think is not fair on the people, we cannot keep quiet.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. If you're just joining us, you're watching Trust News Update. Here's a recap of our major stories. We told you that Niger State drags federal government to Supreme Court as Governor Matawalle orders arrest of those rejecting the old Naira notes. We also told you that Oyetola APC filed cross appeal on Governor Ademola Adeleke's eligibility. Moving on to security, unknown gunmen operating in the southeast struck again on Friday, killing 3 policemen from the Delta State Command of the Department of Explosive Ordnance Device. The victims, who were attached to the state government house, were murdered in Ihiala local government area of Anambra State while on their way to Abia State. They were an advance team of the governor, who is the vice presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party. The names of the 3 deceased police officers were given as Inspectors Lucky Ale, Celestine Nwadioku, and Jude Obu. A source reveals that the unknown gunmen intercepted them at about 1:30 p.m. at Ihiala local government area of Anambra State and set their vehicle ablaze. The police public relations officer of Anambra State Command, Ikenga Tochukwu, confirmed the incident. A civil society organization, Men Against Rape Foundation, has commended the Lagos State government for reviewing the charges brought against the Ikechukwu Ogbonna over his role in events leading to the death of his wife, Bimbo Ogbonna. Initially, police in Lagos State had charged Ogbonna for failing to offer prompt care to his wife when a fire outbreak occurred in their home. But following video evidence which showed Bimbo was trapped inside the residence by fire, the husband, rather than call for rescue, was busy recording the burning house from outside the premises. Speaking at a press conference in Abuja, Lemi Ugegbe commended the Lagos State government for being responsive to ensure that Ogbonna is properly charged.
When you shout "Blue Murder" and you call the attention of government and government agencies to an infraction they may not have observed, and they decide to look at it on the merit of your claim and look at it very dispassionately, it's incumbent on us as civil society to also make it public to appreciate such government agencies and the government itself for taking a responsible step. So this is really to appreciate them for taking a step that will serve the interest of justice, that it will also signal a note of warning, resounding warning to all persons who are guilty of intimate partner violence and those who think that they can get away with it. That this is one case that we're interested in. We urge the media to be interested in it. We urge civil society, especially those domiciled in Lagos, to be part and parcel of this trial, observing it, because equity does not help the indolent. We are calling this press conference to appreciate the fact that the Lagos State government, the Attorney General of Federation of Lagos State, the Attorney General of Lagos State, and the Director of Public Prosecution have acted very responsively and responsibly in evaluating the evidence which the police had initially bungled, and have therefore filed a proper charge against Ikechukwu Ogbonna, who will now be standing trial over involuntary manslaughter.
As the country prepares for a new regime, we look into some of the legacy projects of President Muhammadu Buhari and how they affected the nation. The Presidential Fertilizer Initiative was born under the watch of the President and has successfully produced 60 million bags of fertilizer. Chamunda Beng reports.
The Presidential Fertilizer Initiative was established in 2016 under the regime of President Muhammadu Buhari. The initiative was designed to allow for production of fertilizer in the country as well as subsidize the cost of the product. Executive Secretary, Fertilizer Producers and Suppliers Association of Nigeria, FEPSAN, Gideon Negedu, speaks on the hows and whys of the PFI.
The PFI was a product of necessity. When government came in, President Muhammadu Buhari's government, they inherited in major debt. Government had concerns how sustainably they could manage the subsidies on fertilizers vis-a-vis the requirements of farmers that was expanding on a daily basis or on a yearly basis. There was a handshake between the private sector and the public sector to ensure that we catalyze or incentivize the private sector to produce or invest locally in fertilizer production capacities.
President Muhammadu Buhari further supported the movement by engaging major producers of key raw materials and fertilizers in Morocco and Russia to ensure the attainment of economics of scale as well as discounts.
That discount we have on those raw materials, it was hoped that will translate in lower prices or more affordable prices for farmers. We also engaged with local producer, initially in Indorama and recently Dangote, to source what we call the urea fertilizers, which is also a requirement in blending. This is how it started. We started with about 2 blending plants. This was what was functional at the time when the program started in 2016. Now we are at about 72 blending plants all across the country.
Pre-PFI, Nigeria was a net importer of fertilizer, and the initiative, which has been in existence for the past 7 years, has achieved much.
The problem with importation was that you were restricted to just specific or generic blends. It didn't meet the specific requirement of farmers. We have our own special challenges here. We have our own crop requirements and nutrient requirements here as a country. So the PFI was able to solve that by ensuring that we have local capacity in the country to produce. The PFI has also been able to ensure that we are able to track fertilizer usage. You know where your fertilizers are coming from.
When asked if the PFI would outlive the regime of President Muhammadu Buhari, the Executive Secretary said the initiative has transcended the government, adding that private sector players had since taken the bull by the horn. He said the PFI would last as long as there is the political will to keep the initiative going. Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now moving on to the foreign scene, the administration of Somalia's breakaway region of Somaliland said late on Friday it had agreed to an unconditional ceasefire following 5 days of clashes in the east of the territory that health workers say have killed dozens of people. Heavy fighting broke out between Somaliland forces and militiamen in and around the town of Lasanod, the administrative center of the Sul region, on Monday, after local leaders said they wanted to rejoin federal Somalia. Somaliland declared independence from Somalia in 1991, but has not gained widespread international recognition for its status and has faced opposition from some clan elders in disputed areas along its borders with Somalia's semi-autonomous Puntland state. It was not clear immediately if the ceasefire was being observed on the battlefield, but Abdurazak Mohammed Hassan, a spokesperson for the group who opposed Somaliland rule, called the ceasefire a lie. Residents of the town said homes and health centers had been shelled in the course of the fighting, killing at least 58 people and wounding scores of others. And finally, in sports, Nigeria's under-20 boys Flying Eagles have now settled down in Morocco's commercial and economic capital, Casablanca, for a one-week final training camp ahead of the Africa Under-20 Cup of Nations starting next week Saturday in the Arab Republic of Egypt. Nigeria's first match of the campaign, as they attempt an 8th continental title, will be against Senegal's Cub Lions at the Cairo International Stadium starting from 9 p.m. Egypt time on Sunday, 19th February. The Flying Eagles, two-time FIFA World Cup runners-up and one-time bronze medalists, will then face hosts Egypt on Wednesday, 22nd February, and Mozambique on Saturday, 25th February. All 4 semi-finalists at the 12-team championship in Egypt will qualify to fly Africa's flag at the FIFA Under-20 World Cup finals to be staged in Indonesia 20th May to 11th June this year. And with that, we've come to the end of Trust News Update. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. Thanks for watching.